Thank you, Joe. It only took me 5 years, I told him, to get up the nerve to do a solo. Thanks. Mom, this is Wells. I want you to know that I am okay. This is the calm voicemail that Wells, Remy Crowther, an equity trader, left for his mother, Allison, after the South Tower of the World Trade Center was struck by United Airlines Flight 175 on September 11th, 2001. He was on the 104th floor and somehow found a safe stairway and made his way down to the 78th. With his face covered in a red bandana, just like the one his father gave him when he was 7 or 8 years old, Wells made at least 3 trips to get people to safety, saving as many as 18 souls who made their way out of the South Tower before it collapsed. He carried one woman down 17 flights of stairs and went back up again. Those people who were saved followed the confident voice of a 24-year-old man shouting, "This is the way." When the tower fell, Wells was in the lobby with firefighters, making a plan to take tools back up to rescue more people. Wells had been a volunteer firefighter as a young man in Nyack, New York. 1 month before he died, he shared with his father, Jeff, that he was about to make a career change to become a firefighter. In the last hour of his life, Wells fulfilled his mission. When the 9/11 memorial was dedicated on May 15th, 2014, Wells' mother, Allison, said, "Wells believed that we are all connected as one human family, and we are here to look out for and care for one another. This is life's most precious meaning. It is our greatest hope," she said, "that when people come here and see Wells' red bandana, remember how people helped each other that day and be inspired to do the same in ways both big and small. This is the true legacy of September 11th. This story is how the Reverend Jacqueline Lewis begins her Huffington Post article, "In Case of Emergency, Revolutionary Love," published on this year's anniversary of 9/11. Just this past month, we've heard similar stories of people coming together and helping each other in times of adversity, like the hurricanes that have been so destructive here in the South and the earthquakes in Mexico. We could call this kind of love a higher love. Reverend Lewis calls it a revolutionary love. She says, "In cases of emergency, we know how to pull together. We rescue each other from burning buildings and from rising waters. We pull down moldy plaster and rebuild. We board up windows together or fly each other out of danger. We open our doors and our hearts. We stand up, we march, we sit in, we die in. We change the law, we change the tide. We make it better. We take care of each other. We have each other's backs. Why? Because we are one human family, inextricably connected to each other. We need each other to live." Yesterday at the installation, those of you who were there heard Karen Gordon lead us in an amazing song by Hezekiah Walker, "I Need You to Survive." I need you, you need me. We are a part of God's body. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. All this month, we've been reflecting on the theme of love, and today the message I'd like to invite you to think about concerns what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called the beloved community. He said, "Our goal is to create a beloved community, and this will require a qualitative change in our souls, as well as a quantitative change in our lives. This was his ultimate goal, to build the beloved community. The term beloved community was coined by the early 20th century American philosopher Josiah Royce, but most of us learned it not from Royce, but from Dr. King. The King Center in Atlanta defines the phrase this way: Dr. King's beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood, end quote. Dr. King played a pivotal role in helping the bus boycotters in Montgomery, Alabama, create a new paradigm of nonviolent struggle, transforming individuals and institutions. Over the 9 years from the time of the boycotts, the movement forced Congress to pass the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Dr. King was a movement activist for only 13 years, from his participation in the Montgomery bus boycott to his assassination in April 1968. And in 1957, when he spoke about the choice between violence and nonviolence in achieving civil rights for African Americans, Dr. King said, "Love is creative and redemptive. Love builds up and unites. Hate tears down and destroys. The aftermath of the fight fire with fire method is bitterness and chaos. The aftermath of the love method is reconciliation and creation of the beloved community. Physical force can repress, restrain, coerce, destroy, but it cannot create and organize anything permanent. Only love can do that. Yes, love, which means understanding, creative, redemptive goodwill, even for one's enemies, is the solution to the race problem." End quote. And after the Montgomery bus boycotts, in speaking about the larger movement toward which they were building, Dr. King said the end is reconciliation. The end is redemption. The end is the creation of the beloved community. It is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opponents into friends. It is this love which will bring about miracles in the hearts of men. Dr. King constantly pointed out to those in the freedom movement that their refusal to respond in kind to the violence and terrorism of their opponents was increasing their own strength and unity. Grace Boggs says that Dr. King reminded them and the world that their goal was not only the right to sit at the front of the bus or to vote, but to give birth to a new society based on more human values. In so doing, he not only empowered those on the front lines, but in the process, developed a strategy for transforming a struggle for rights into a struggle that advances the humanity of everyone in the society, and thereby brings the beloved community closer to realization. This is what true revolutions are about, Boggs said. And she continues, they are about redefining our relationships with one another, to the earth and to the world, about creating a new society in the places and spaces left vacant by the disintegration of the old. about hope, not despair, about saying yes to life and no to war, about finding the courage to love and care for the peoples of the world as we love and care for our own families. King's revolutionary vision is about each of us becoming the change we want to see in the world. I began with Reverend Lewis's story about Wells Crowther in the South Tower of the World Trade Center and how his mother said that life's most precious meaning is to look out for and care for one another. And Reverend Lewis goes on in her article to say that we need to reclaim that sense of emergency in dealing with the injustice and threats to freedom that we face in this country and this world today. She calls on us to grow an interracial, interreligious movement for love and justice. It's time for us to pull together so that we can survive together. I need you to survive. Fred Small writes that in 1966, after the march to Montgomery, Dr. King was among several thousand people delayed at the airport. And he marveled, as I stood with them and saw white and Negro, nuns and priests, ministers and rabbis, labor organizers, lawyers, doctors, housemaids, and shop workers brimming with vitality and enjoying a rare comradeship, I knew I was seeing a microcosm of the humankind of the future in this moment of genuine brotherhood and sisterhood. In writing about Dr. King's beloved community and Black Lives Matter, Cheryl Cashin argues that Dr. King saw in his increasingly multiracial band of civil rights soldiers, which included a fair number of Unitarians, he saw an early example of the beloved community he espoused. The movement itself could exemplify the spirit of agape love, selfless love, and the spirit of community that he envisioned for the whole of America. One expression of this love for community was seeing mutuality in all types of human suffering, and some of you may know that phrase. As King famously said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In the end, he didn't turn away from the hardest part of community building. In a Christmas sermon on peace, which he delivered at Ebenezer Baptist Church on Christmas Eve 1967, he proclaimed, "Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation." A few years ago, our UU General Assembly was held in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Christian mystic monk Thomas Merton, who was a contemporary of Dr. King's. And I walked down the street, back and forth from the convention center to my hotel, each time passing a marker on the sidewalk where Merton had an epiphany about the unity and interconnection of the human family. Imagine that, a historical marker about a spiritual epiphany, but it's there in Louisville. And he wrote about this in his book, Conjectures of a Guilty Bystander. And he wrote, "In Louisville at the corner of 4th and Walnut, in the center of the shopping district, I was suddenly overwhelmed with the realization that I loved all those people, that they were mine and I theirs, that we could not be alien to one another even though we were total strangers. It was like waking from a dream of separateness, of spurious self-isolation in a special world, the world of renunciation and supposed holiness, the whole illusion of a separate, holy existence is a dream, end quote. A higher love. That is what was revealed to Merton in that instant. Cheryl Cashin says that it is as true today as it was for Dr. King in 1965 that you have to have allies beyond your own tribe to win a victory. You don't have to convince everyone, just the growing swath of people who are open to diversity and want to make it work. Reverend Jacqueline Lewis suggests a way of doing this, a very practical way for us. Every one of us, she says, should connect to someone unlike us. A different racial or ethnic background, a different religion, a different gender or sexual orientation. Listen to their stories. Share yours. Imagine this year connecting with 3 people just outside your circle of familiarity. They will change you, and you will change them. So today I ask you to make our mission statement come alive in the pursuit of a higher love that will benefit us and our children and our grandchildren, and yes, in my case, our great-grandchildren. Don't just read it on the order of service every Sunday, live it. That may be the only way for us to make, as Dr. King said, a qualitative change in our souls, as well as a quantitative change in our lives. May we be the ones who make it so. Blessed be. Amen.